Censorship. The media was ever-changing, and many nudist artists in the 1940s sparked a debate that still needs to be finished today. Though our government fought very hard, many of the general public was against the censorship debate. Censorship has long been debated, but it was never against democracy, didn't give the government too much power, and was more harmful to teenagers without it. The censorship debate began when a group of Jewish American feminist artists started drawing nude figures as an act of rebellion against the government. People wanted censorship, and they were right. However, these Jewish American feminist artists need not be censored totally, just most of the way. The teenage media sometimes contains graphic, sexual, and pornographic images and language that can lead to teenagers committing acts that they wouldn't normally commit. These vulgar images in teenage media make it hard for our young and older children to become self-respecting young adults. Many people argue against the censorship of the teenage media because it gives the government too much power and doesn't conform to the standards of democracy. This is not true, however, because the government censors a lot of things already in our magazines, television, and radio broadcasts, yet democracy still stands true, and the government doesn't have too much power. In South Korea, there is a large organization called OpenNet. It's a joint project whose goal is to monitor and report internet filtering and surveillance policies in all countries. South Korea was the only democratic republic on OpenNet's initiative list of regimes that engage in substantial internet censorship, substantial being censoring the majority of what is in television, radio, news broadcasts. The government maintained a large, sophisticated internet censorship operation that blocked foreign websites, monitored domestic hosting services on banned content, and employed over 1,000 people as censors prior to national elections. Many of these restrictions had been in place now for several years, and while unpopular, showed no signs of disappearing. Yet South Korea was otherwise a free, stable, vibrant democracy with open and procedurally fair elections. This internet censorship does not allow for child pornography and doesn't take away the democracy of the government, nor give the government too much power. In 2008, police raided an art gallery in Australia just prior to the opening of an exhibition of photographs by the famous Australian artist and photographer Bill Henson. These images depicted naked 12 and 13-year-old children. Adult nudity in paintings and photographs was generally acceptable to society, even erotic art. Although when the nudity was sexually explicit, it may have been considered to be pornography, and therefore was usually censored. Though this adult nudity was turning into child pornography very quickly, and was causing an outburst in censorship debates, rightly so. These debates all ended the same, with the law against nude children in artwork not being able to be passed because of so many people being against it for the reasons mentioned before about the government getting too much power. Child pornography and adult pornography in everyday occurrences is not okay. It does not make anyone have a better life because they see these sexually pornographic images of art. If anything, it can hurt their lives rather than help. Many teenagers that are exposed to sexual content, whether it be implied or actually seen, may have had a reduced fear of sexual intercourse at young ages. According to the Journal of Sex Research, there was a survey done with teenagers that had watched sexually explicit or implicit scenes in movie clips that had found that over 75% of those teenagers believed that sexual intercourse had taken place and believed that it was not safe sex. This showed that the majority of the teenagers that watched shows with sexual content thought that the sex that had happened was not safe, and many researchers believed that this was one of the leading causes of teenagers having sexual intercourse at younger ages, especially without protection. Researchers found that over half of the teens surveyed did not think that anything was wrong with having unprotected sex above the age of 12. In addition to teenagers having a reduced fear of sex at young ages, researchers found that teens also had a reduced fear of AIDS, or HIVs. Content analysis of sex on TV had shown that shows containing sexual content rarely mentioned the risks or responsibilities of sexual activity, such as sexually transmitted infections or condom and contraceptive use. Studies show that 55% of all teenagers surveyed were not afraid of getting AIDS at all. We need to fix the censorship debate for once and for all. Censorship is needed in our everyday lives, and there are many ways that we can change it. We need to have a tighter amount of censorship in today's media because our teenage population is becoming majorly influenced by the things they see, read, and hear that is sexually explicit. We can do this by voting for new laws to be passed or writing to our governmental officials. The government also needs to censor a lot more of what is viewed in television and movies and radio, because we can change the censoring for children in our own homes, and we can also do it ourselves. And able to do this, we can monitor what our teens and young adults and even younger children are watching, as well as using our televisions to set safe monitoring techniques as blocking television shows and programs or specific channels, so that our teens, young adults, and children are not exposed to this. Finally, to try and make censorship a natural occurrence, we can petition the government in order to get things changed. Censorship is important, and we need to take care of it so that our children and young adults won't be so affected by the things that they see in the media.